Great to see you all. And first off, big apologies for the lack of updates throughout 2024. Yes, that was the year. It was a phenomenally busy year, and I had great sort of ambitions to do lots and lots of updates. Instead, all I did was lots and lots of work, which meant I didn't have much time to do the update. So I've got to try and work a bit of a balance on that this year, because what I found is definitely the message from this year is the communication wasn't quite as good as the work rate. So I need to get a better balance, because otherwise people don't know what's going on and all of those things. So I wanted to today talk about Tramtown, what's happening with that, what's happening with the world of politics that I'm in, what I've been up to, the parks work that I've been doing, and a few other things that I want to do as well throughout the new year, and 2025. Doesn't that sound strange saying that? It feels like a long way in the future. So where should I start? I guess what better place is really just to say thank you to everyone, because I've had so many kind people help me throughout the year. That was really appreciated. It felt like 2 years in one go. But I'll start with probably the biggest impact on my life in terms of why I didn't do as many updates as I wanted to, and that was just the world of politics. For those that don't know, I'm the leader of the Blackpool Conservative group, and that's the councillor group. And this year we were just almost in non-stop election mode. So we had a by-election in Blackpool South, sort of April time. Then we went straight into the general election. Then after that, we had a council by-election in Marton. And then we had another by-election straight away in Bispham. And that, believe it or not, took us from April to November. So I was heavily involved in those campaigns. We didn't win any of them, but I guess in some ways we probably never were planned to, in terms of the national mood at the moment. People were very angry with the government, and sometimes local councillors get caught up in that, sadly, even though they're not responsible for any of those things that have gone on. But what I did want, though, is that we put in a really good fight and learn lots of different things, which is what we did. And I'm very much a rebuildy, structure-y type person anyway. So putting processes in place was very much part of it, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. Oddly enough, I love talking to people. I love door knocking. By God, I did some door knocking. I think I think it's about, I did personally about 1,000 doors, which doesn't sound a lot, but imagine that's 1,000 times you knock on a door, a conversation all takes time, and you're trying to process all of the conversation and what people are feeling and what the trends are, and so on. So it was a really busy year, but I thoroughly enjoyed it actually. It was a really, really enjoyable, which is mad, because generally a lot of people do not like all the things that come with elections, walking, door knocking. They're tiring things. I walked miles, literally, and I know I did because I had a brand new pair of boots for Christmas last year, and by November I had a hole in them. And these are walking boots, so that says a lot. But it was what it was. In terms of where we are as a group, I'm really pleased with the progress the team are making. I'm doing a lot of training, and also a lot of work around mentorship, and there's going to be a lot more of that. So guiding the counsellors, but also reaching out to people who want to become counsellors. So if you do live in Blackpool and would be interested in becoming a counsellor, and would like to stand in future elections, just let me know. I'll gladly meet up with you over a brew and talk to you what it's about. For me, what it's about is improving where you live. So that's the parks, the roads, the pavements, the library, how people get around, just trying to really focus around health and happiness. So for those that don't know, I'm a big Joseph Chamberlain fan, who's the former great mayor of Birmingham. And there's a great thing he said about him, which was his legacy was to leave Birmingham parked, paved, and assized. Assized basically is well governed. So I think that's which on its own doesn't sound like much, but they're massive things. They're the things that we all need and use and enjoy. So yeah, so that's where I am in terms of politics. So hopefully 2025, no more elections. We all focus on governing and getting on with life and improving people's lives, because that definitely needs to happen. There's so much anger and understandable anger out there at the moment because things are expensive and things don't seem to work quite as well as they used to. So rather than focus on elections, I think as politicians, we need to get our heads down and our hands dirty and making all those things work again, really, and getting the people involved in helping make them work. So that's very much where I am on that. Very, very pleased. So one area that I think a lot of people probably who are watching this may be interested in is what's happening with Tramtown. So obviously before Christmas, there was the news that broke that the heritage operation was being suspended, and obviously rightly so. A lot of people were very concerned about that. I didn't comment publicly about that at the time, rightly so, because I'm very much involved with Tramtown. So the good news is, and this is what I wanted to do, is confirm because I've spoken and spent a lot of time with the brilliant Jane Cole, who's the MD of Blackpool Transport, and she's been amazing behind the scenes. A lot of people just don't give her the credit she deserves, but I've seen what she's been doing and others. But the great news is Tramtown continues, and we are working so hard behind the scenes on funding bids now, and I've I do a lot of funding bids, but these are some of the hardest I've ever been part of. They're very complex pieces of work. But all of the efforts everyone's been put in have generated a position for us now to submit bids to support the roof, and hopefully we can start to see that progress. That this is not a fast process. So culturally, I've been working on some business plans in terms of when we'll return back to doing our tours. And we've got some really exciting news that I'm not in a position to turn out just yet, but I will very soon in the new year. And that's around when our tours will resume and what that'll involve, because we will need more volunteers. Every penny we make from those is going to support our funding bids now. So people who donated, that went into the planning permission, well, into a process to get us the architect, which in turn then got us the planning permission, which then in turn underpins the funding bids. So all of those things, all those efforts have been absolutely key to keeping this flame alive. We cannot lose those heritage trams, and there's a whole set of plans that have been working on to make sure that doesn't happen. I'll have that news for you very soon, when that will be, what the tour is going to look like, how they're going to operate, and also why. And it's two things really. One is, yes, money. We need money to support the funding bids. The more funding bids we can do, the more chances we've got of getting the money quicker. Perfect. The other thing I want to do is a big believer, of us always have been with Tramtown, be the change you want to see is a great phrase and a maxim. So what does that mean? Well, it basically means we create our what we want it to be now, in effect, even though we haven't got all the things in place. So we'll continue with the workshop tours, and until we get the roof, for example. But we build up all the things that we'll have in terms of the knowledge base, the retail outlet, the tours, the information, the archive support, the presentation. Have all that in place. It's so much easier because it actually supports not only the operation and the fundraising, it actually supports the funding bids as well, because you're saying we've got all these people and we'll be able to do so much more if you gave us a bit of money. So that I'm really excited about. Actually, that's become a bit of a crusade of mine now. It's bigger than anything I'm doing. It's just got to be done for the good of Blackpool, Britain, and the world. We need these things done for the these trams matter. So yeah, I'm putting a lot of effort into that. And then other areas of my life, parks, been super busy with those. So a lot of people sort of go on at me about parks because it's always banging on about parks, but I see them as outside community centres. They're sort of places that a billionaire and a beggar could meet quite happily, and no one bats an eyelid. I think that sums them up perfectly. You've got your dog walkers, you've got your kids, you've got your people playing sport, you've got your cafes in there, social means of reaching out to people. You've got everybody in there, and they're so important in a world where people are struggling with isolation and loneliness that we reach out to them and use our parks to do that. So I've done two massive funding bids over Christmas for both Anchorstone Park and East Pines Park. That'll be new play equipment for East Pines, um, sports continuing. We're 10 years in now into our sport programme, which is cricket, football, and athletics. Park Run continues at Anchorstone Parks from there every Sunday morning. If you're interested and you've got a child that's 4 to 14, it's at about 5 to 9 every Sunday at Anchorstone Parks. That's going really well. Numbers have doubled to about 40, 50 odd now on average. Amazing set of people there. Love doing that. Even though it involves getting out of bed early on Sunday, but it's well worth it. But I'm also doing a lot of work on palm trees in Anchorstone Park. So I've done a big funding bid for more palm trees. I'm going to do a video when the weather's nicer, show you how those Cordylia australis that we planted in there are growing. And if this works, and I know it will, we'll be able to prove that you can grow trees on the seafront in Blackpool. And because Anchorstone is rough, we have the roughest weather ever here. It's like wind and rain. It's like today, it's just blasting it down. And that's quite regular. So these trees need to be tough. We need to deal with the salt conditions, the winds, 40, 50 miles an hour, and then the rain, which is often sideways. So if we can do that here, we can do that anywhere in Blackpool. And that'll change how people feel about this town. And they're also quite exotic as well. So they're my favourite tree. Plus starlings love the little seeds off them. So yeah, hopefully we'll win those, and we'll do lots of planning and planting and delivery of those projects. And that'll be throughout the year. And I will film those. I will film the delivery of those and the planting of them, because I'm really proud of how we've done. I think we've got about 40 odd trees growing in Anchorstone at the moment. Some are about 5 foot getting there, which is great. And in time they'll take off, and we need more of them. They're not cheap though. They're about 150 odd quid a tree. We're also doing a project called Park to Park, which is linking the two parks together with walking measurements. So if you go from one park to the other, it'll tell you how many steps that is and what the distance is in miles. And again, that'll just link everything together. And I want to try and encourage more people to walk between the parks and connect the two parks together. I spend a lot of time in them and love them both for different reasons. So we want people to get that as well. And in time, we'll do that. On the subject of parks, I've been supporting a colleague of mine, Councillor Paul Wilshaw in Bispham, with a park he's got, Cavendish Park. So we've done a load of funding work there, and that park's starting to develop now, and that's important because Bispham to Anchorstone has a chain really where people are connected. They go to school at Montgomery, for example, in Bispham, and live down here, so they're all in that sort of big circle. So if we improve the parks not just in Anchorstone but elsewhere, then certainly the neighbours, then that will help them as well. So that's been a real positive. And what else have I been doing? I have become I always say, no, I can't take on any more things, but I did sort of say yes to something, which I'm sort of like, oh crikey, why did I do that for? But I know absolutely it's going to be a great thing for Blackpool, pull this off, is the Blackpool Credit Union. So that's, I've become a trustee of that. Very early days. But what does a trustee do? It basically oversees strategy, makes sure that the budgets are being hit and so on. And I love finance. I really do get the numbers and so on. It's I worry about Blackpool in some ways, that the numbers don't always necessarily add up for the council. And my job is very much to say, actually, you're doing it wrong. In order to get this right, we're going to have to sort out either our income increases through council tax, and I don't just mean increasing it, but actually collecting it, but equally getting our costs right as well on projects. So get those sorts of things. So in terms of credit union, a lot of people in Blackpool, they struggle financially. So what happens? Somebody with a very tasty interest rate will come along and offer them a loan. And it's just then a debt spiral which they can never escape from. So the credit union offers good rates, and tries to put in a lot of support around lifestyle in terms of managing money and finance, and hopefully get people away from loan sharks and into a structured way of managing their finances. So doing just sort of dipping my toe in the water into that world. So I'll let you know how that goes. But I'm really interested actually how we can support them. That's be a great project. And then for those of you probably aware, probably my highlight of the year was the tram extension opening. I absolutely loved that. And we saw that video with Mum and me, and it was just brilliant. I really was very happy. That was a great day. A lot of work went into that, and it felt very close to my dad again, because Dad wrote a supportive letter. And I'm conscious I haven't done the what happened behind the scenes, and I will do that now because I can roughly get away with doing that without breaking any confidences. But no, that was a magic moment, and I've been so proud to see how that connects, because for me it was always about developing a commuter market. So you'd move to Blackpool, and then you would then work in Manchester or Liverpool. And Michelle and me coming up are going to do a journey using the tram to get to Liverpool for the day, just for a day out, and just prove how that connects. So yeah, really really looking forward to that. But what I think it needs rather is the marketing push around that. So more people are aware that we've got the tram extension, and that when you arrive at the station, you have your tickets booked, and so on. That's if you're a visitor, but build on that. And I'll tell you what has been great is, it sounds daft, but the Greg's opening next to it has brought a lot of life to that area. So it feels like a station now rather than just a tram stop. And that in itself is amazing. It really does connect well to what your experience. Because if it's a bit cold, you can just pop in there for a brew. So really proud of that and what it'll do for Blackpool. But it does take us to this point, which is, well, what next? We've got to start thinking about our next set of extensions. So I'm really keen this year, if I can do one thing, and I hope I do more than one thing, is to develop something around the extensions, potential extensions, the filed network that we've got already, and what else could happen, and what else we could do to improve public transport in Blackpool and the Fylde Coast. And now devolution is coming, and we'll talk about that in a few weeks' time. There's a great opportunity, but we need to present the case. Otherwise, it'll be other cases that are presented, and it'll be them that get any funding going. So we need to be really hot on that. So really keen to develop more tram lines, in and not at the expense of rail lines, before anyone says. So that's a rough sort of summary of what I've been up to. I was just trying to think if there was anything else really, other than just being really busy, and I need to do more videos, which I will. I would say no. It's just been. I've really enjoyed the year. It's been a completely bonkers year. It felt like two. Wore a pair of shoes out. Did loads of projects, but we're still here. And I'm. Oh, and the other thing I'm trying to do is network as well around the country with other people, be that parks, politics, transport, to try and put Blackpool on the map a little bit as well. So yeah, so I promise there will be an update on Tramtown coming up as soon as I can, which will be in January sometime. An update on politics towards the end of the month of January. And also I'm going to start the videos around the Fylde train network, and then start the journey of showcasing what the future extensions could look like on the back of that. I really like some of the YouTubers that are out there that do the transport ones, like Jen on the Move and co. I think they're brilliant. They connect really well about community connected with rail. And the same exists with light rail. So I think on the Fylde we could do something like that. I just don't have that time, because I literally am. I work 7 days a week. It's so full on. So it's just finding the time to do this. So that's going to be really really conscious that I do that for you guys. And so yeah, that's roughly it. So like and subscribe. I promise more updates. If you've got any questions below, post them below, and I'll do my very best to answer them. And thank you for all your support. Thank you for being so patient with me. I've had so many kind people who've helped me out through this year at different points that I could not have done all the things that we did. And yeah, I'm really really grateful. So a huge thank you from me. Enjoy your day, but most of all, spend it with people you care about, and that includes yourself. And enjoy 25, and I'll speak to you very soon. Thank you.